Okay, the next thing is the tariffs. Let's talk about the tariffs. So, um, again, I understand I'm risking hate in the comments. Donald Trump does not understand what tariffs are. According to Jeffrey Epstein, who was, by all accounts, one of Donald Trump's best friends, and we don't have to talk about all of the allegations about Mar-a-Lago and human trafficking and Donald Trump participating in all of these things. We don't have to talk about that here because it's not really political. What we do need to understand is that it's an accepted fact that Donald Trump was best friends with Jeffrey Epstein, and therefore Jeffrey Epstein had an understanding of who Donald Trump is as a person. And one of the things that Jeffrey Epstein said about Donald Trump that should be painfully obvious to everybody who has watched the clip of Donald Trump being handed a letter from King Charles. If you have seen this clip, you should understand what I'm about to say. Donald Trump can barely read. He does not understand what a tariff is, nor do I think he cares. I think that he is a person who can barely read and has very limited understanding of any of the shit that's going on politically and financially. He does not understand. He is not some super genius. He is not some super con artist. He is none of those things. He is a guy with a limited intellectual capacity who was taught by his father and Ray Cohen to be a bully. He is using tariffs to bully our allies because he feels safe in doing so, and he thinks it makes him look like a tough guy because he legitimately, I don't want to say worships, I think that's a strong word. He admires dictators. He has said this openly. This is an established fact. So if he admires dictators and sees them as strongmen, then that would explain why he's trying to be the same. So it's not that he has some master plan to bankrupt the United States so that rich people can buy stocks dirt cheap. They did that in Russia. And you know what they found? That once things like came back to somewhat normal, there was no money. The middle and lower class didn't have any money. That scheme doesn't work. It doesn't support capitalism. So no, that's not what he's trying to do. He is this limited intellectually human being who sees tariffs as a hammer, and he wants people to think he's tough. So he's swinging the hammer at our allies who he doesn't think will respond in kind, but he misjudged them because they are. There's no master plan here. Like, really, seriously. I wish people would stop acting like he has a master plan. Even Project 2025 doesn't really have a master plan. I know that they laid out an agenda, but apparently the 900 pages worth of agenda has competing interests. And that's the other thing. And like, I do want people to have hope, and I'm going to explain why I want you to have hope. When it comes to the tariffs and the Project 2025 agenda, I want you to have some hope because these people are all actually at war with each other. So Donald Trump wants to be king. He's made that pretty clear. The people that run Project 2025 that he's installed in his cabinet, they want a Christian nationalist nation. Donald Trump doesn't care if it's a Christian nationalist nation. Neither does Elon Musk. I genuinely believe that Elon Musk would also like to be king, which puts him at odds with Donald Trump. Now, Donald Trump, in my opinion, uses Elon for a couple of reasons. One, he helped him steal the election. That's my belief. That's my speculation. That's my belief. And it goes down to the statistics of the election. All of these swing states just magically turned red after Donald Trump has said, we don't need your votes. You don't even need to show up. Really? Really? Statistically speaking, if you look at data from prior elections, they don't line up. Not at all. Like, and all these ballots where they just marked Trump and nobody else, no, no. You have Donald Trump saying that Elon was really great with the election software. You have all this questionable data doesn't align with any other previous election. You have Elon Musk inserting himself into the White House and taking up residence there with his mother and a small child and using Air Force One. And Donald Trump, basically allowing Elon to run the show. And he didn't help him steal the election. I don't think so. I don't think so. I I think that Elon has been very beneficial to Donald in a lot of ways. I think he helped him steal the election, but I also think that he intends to set him up to take the fall if things go really badly. I think that when the entire situation implodes, I think that's actually the number one reason Donald Trump keeps Elon Musk around is because he knows he can hide behind him. And most narcissists, if you don't know a narcissist, they love to hide behind other people. They love to put people up to doing their dirty work and then hide behind them all the time. All the time. So, in some ways, you could say Elon Musk is a little bit of Donald Trump's beard. Anyway, um, with Tesla stock, tanking and Donald doing that car commercial, I hope it becomes more obvious to a lot more people that these are not men that are capable of leading in any way, shape, or form. So, I mean, we've talked about the tariffs, we've talked about the gutting of the financial agency, the federal agencies, and we haven't talked about the stopgap funding. Okay. All right. So a bill was passed, I think, to provide money to the federal government until like September. Now, here's the thing. Like, I know a lot of people are upset that the Democrats didn't hold the line because they should have, right? Like Chuck Schumer should have. And he didn't. But here's what I want to point out. With all the discrepancies with the election, Kamala Harris never asked for a recount, never filed a lawsuit. And even though, Kamala Harris and President Biden, I feel like I should call her like Madam Vice President. I think that would be more respectful. Even though Madam Vice President and President Biden both warned that Donald Trump on day one would start enacting the Project 2025 agenda, which was to turn this into a Christian nationalist nation where nobody has any rights but the rich. Even though they did that, there was no recount, there were no lawsuits, and apparently there was no plan. Now, I understand that President Biden did some interesting things. Like he did install as many federal judges to hold the line as he possibly could on his way out. He also, I think, signed an executive order that talks about what to do if there isn't a president and vice president, which is also like really unusual. And we'll come back and discuss that in the next episode. And so, in a way, I think President Biden took action. It's Madam Vice President's inaction that he don't understand. I was really surprised that, both of these people, Madam Vice President and President Biden would spend so much time warning about exactly what's happening right now. And the Democrats would have the Democrats and the progressives and the independents would not have formed a coalition in order to prevent the very thing they were warning about. It's pretty shocking to me, actually. And, if you found this channel, it's probably because you've heard my podcast about Britney Spears. It's a lot like that situation in that nobody did anything. Like everybody knew it was wrong and nobody did anything. And then they all acted like they don't know it's wrong. And so, I mean, all of these other people, with the exception of Bernie Sanders, the majority of them have acted like they didn't understand. Oh, well, yeah, we warned about that, but now it's happening and we don't know what to do. We can't do anything. We're in the minority. And that's just unequivocally not true. So I have a lot of respect for Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I have a lot of respect for Jasmine Crockett. I have a lot of respect. I think it's Representative Melanie Stanton, just a redhead. And, several others, and Bernie Sanders, because they are actively out trying to make people understand that the way you stop the authoritarian regime from taking complete and absolute control of your life is to protest, right? That's how you do it. And they're out there spreading the word. And I'll tell you, like what history teaches us is a few different things. One, you can't go willingly. You absolutely cannot go willingly, right? Two, the true power is with the people. Okay, you know, s- y- other dictators have been, taken down. Stalin was taken down. Hitler was taken down. The people in Venezuela have tried so hard to take Maduro out. I believe that if we can push out this Project 2025 and all of the bad actors involved in this situation and Musk and everybody else, I believe that we can help Venezuela, honestly. And I would love to see us help Cuba too. Um, they've been under, an authoritarian regime for far too long. So the reality here is that they can't succeed unless we allow them to succeed. And we have the ability to take to the streets and protest peacefully, okay? We have the ability to use the power of the purse I mean, let's learn from history here. The civil rights movement, I get emotional when I talk about it. They taught us, you know, with the boycott of the bus system in I believe it was Montgomery, you know, they established civil rights by using the power of the purse. Okay? And that's what the Black community is doing right now. They are teaching Target that it's not okay that they rolled back diversity, equity, and inclusion. And they have taken Target to task successfully just by staying home and staying out of that store. Like $10.9 billion in losses. And we owe that to the Black community and the power of the purse and them being able to do exactly what their ancestors did before them. And we need to respect that. Okay. So that brings us to protesting. Nobody protests quite like the Europeans, for crying out loud. Like, I've seen some protests over the last couple of weeks. They're all taken to the streets, you guys. They are taken to the streets. They're protesting not just their own problems and like their wannabe authoritarian regimes, but they're also protesting on our behalf. The Canadians that are boycotting American companies they also have the right idea. Like, we need to follow suit. We need to follow the example set by the Black community. We need to weaponize the power of the purse. We need to boycott businesses and these billionaires who are trying to own us, as if we're not human beings that deserve healthcare and education and housing, for crying out loud. We deserve all of those things, and Fox News does not get to tell us we don't, just because we don't fall in line with the propaganda network. Okay? It's not right. I want you to have hope. I never expected the Democrats to hold the line this week because they didn't come up with a plan in the 2 months that they had. Okay? They did nothing for 2 months. In fact, they continued to say they couldn't do anything. So I did not expect them to hold the line because it's going to come down to people like you and me. You and me are going to have to rise up. We are going to have to control where we spend our money, and we are going to have to take to the streets. And it's going to be the American people who unite against these rotten, evil, freaking billionaires who are trying to own us. And then when we're done, they're going to pay their fair share in taxes. That's how this is going to end. So I don't want you to be depressed. I don't want you to hate people that are different from you. It's not helpful. It's time to put that shit aside and understand that we are a part of a greater community. And this cannot continue anymore. Enough. We are all being oppressed, whether you realize it or not. Whether you listen to Fox News tell you that you're better than your neighbor when you're really not. You're succumbing to oppression, and it's wrong. So, that being said, I'll be back. I'll be back to keep you posted. Let's fight the good fight. Don't get depressed. Weaponize your money instead, okay? All right. Keep the faith. Sincerely, Mac.